Imagine a man who once had it all, family, purpose, and dreams, now reduced to a shadow of his former self, wandering the streets for over 17 years. His name is John Turner, and his life is a testament to the crushing weight of loss, rejection, and the indifference of society. But what if I told you that behind his tattered clothes and weathered cardboard sign lies a shocking truth? A truth so profound, it could change everything. One fateful afternoon, as John sat on his usual bench, a black SUV pulled up, and a well-dressed man stepped out. This moment would bridge the gap between a painful past and a future filled with hope. What secret did John carry all those years? And how did this stranger hold the key to unlocking a destiny John thought was lost forever? This is a story of resilience, redemption, and the power of human connection. It's a reminder that no matter how far we fall, it's never too late to rise again. So, grab a seat, and let's dive into the incredible journey of John Turner, a man who was once someone, and who, against all odds, found his way back to being someone again. Part 1: The Weight of the Streets. For over 17 years, John Turner wandered the streets, a homeless man enduring daily humiliation and rejection from a society that saw him as nothing more than a burden. On his weathered cardboard sign, a haunting message read, "Someone who holds a profound truth." Passers-by ignored the words, never bothering to uncover the story behind them. But one fateful afternoon, as John rested on his usual bench, everything changed. A black SUV pulled up, and a well-dressed man stepped out. This moment would bridge the gap between John's past and his future. What shocking secret lay behind the words on that cardboard sign? And how would the arrival of this black SUV alter John Turner's destiny? Part 2: The Mockery of Society. John Turner, a 62-year-old homeless man, stood on the edge of a bustling street near a busy shopping center. His gaunt frame and sunken eyes bore witness to days without food. Once a strong man, he was now reduced to a frail shadow of his former self. In his trembling hands, he held a cardboard sign that read, "Once, someone." The irony of the message wasn't lost on him, though each averted glance from passers-by deepened the pain etched into his soul. As he hoped for a glimmer of compassion, a well-dressed man approached. For a brief moment, hope flickered in John's eyes. But as the stranger drew closer, a sneer twisted his face. "Someone?" the man scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. "I doubt a man like you was ever someone. You're just a loser." With a swift kick, he sent John's sign flying, scattering the few coins he had collected. John, powerless, watched as his only means of survival slipped away. Some coins rolled into the gutter, others lodged in cracks in the pavement. The man's mocking laughter echoed in his ears as John knelt to gather what little he could. His arthritic joints protested with every movement, but he pressed on, enduring the humiliation. Part 3: The Cold Shoulder of the World. After the encounter, John gathered his meager belongings and trudged away, each step a painful reminder of his fall from grace. He passed a hot dog stand, the tantalizing aroma making his empty stomach growl. Summoning what little courage he had left, he approached the vendor and whispered, "Excuse me," holding out a few coins. The vendor glanced at the coins and sneered. "That's not enough. And I don't serve your kind. You're driving away my customers. Get lost." John's heart sank. He walked away, his throat dry and aching. Nearby, he spotted a water fountain and bent to take a drink. A young mother and her son stood nearby, the boy clutching an empty water bottle. John smiled timidly and greeted the child, "Hello, little guy." The mother recoiled, pulling her son back. "Don't look at him, sweetie," she snapped, her face twisted in disgust. "Let's fill your bottle somewhere else." John's shoulders slumped. He was used to being treated like a monster, a presence to be avoided. Nothing seemed capable of softening this harsh reality. Part 4: A Glimmer of Humanity. John made his way to a park, seeking refuge under the shade of a tree. As he sat on a bench, he watched the world go by, joggers, dog walkers, families strolling. Their normalcy felt like a cruel joke, a reminder of all he had lost. A group of schoolchildren pointed at him, their voices carrying across the park. "Why is that man so dirty?" one asked. "He lives on the street," another replied. "Let's scare him," a third chimed in. Before their cruelty could escalate, their teacher intervened, but not before shooting John a look of pure disgust. Once, such scenes would have ignited anger or plunged him into despair. Now, he felt numb. As the day wore on, John's exhaustion overtook him. He curled up on the bench, his head resting on his chest, silent tears tracing paths down his dirty cheeks. Part 5, The Turning Point. Just as John drifted into a restless sleep, the sound of a guitar broke through the city's noise. A young musician had set up nearby, his melodies filling the air. The song was one John recognized, a tune he had once loved, a melody he had sung to his young son as a lullaby. Overcome with emotion, John approached the musician and handed him a crumpled dollar bill. "Keep it, son," he said, his voice trembling. "You've given my soul a moment of peace." The young man looked up, surprised and touched. "Thank you, sir," he replied sincerely. For a brief moment, John felt a flicker of humanity. But the cold reality of his hunger soon pulled him back. He remembered a spot behind a supermarket where he sometimes found discarded food. Part 6, The Past Resurfaces. When John arrived at the supermarket, he found another homeless man already rummaging through the trash. Before he could decide whether to approach, the store manager burst out, yelling at the man to leave. "If I see you here again, I'll call the cops," he shouted, kicking the man to the ground. The scene triggered a flashback in John, a memory of his time in Afghanistan, surrounded by gunfire and chaos. The weight of his past overwhelmed him, and he collapsed on the sidewalk. The manager turned his anger on John, tearing his shirt and hurling insults. "You're nothing but a burden," he spat. John stumbled away, his mind haunted by the war and the life he had lost. Part 7, The Arrival of Hope. Later that evening, as John sat on a bench outside a restaurant, a black SUV pulled up. 3 men in suits stepped out, one of whom handed John a few bills. "Get yourself something to eat," he said softly. John's heart swelled with gratitude. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of hope. Part 8, A Long-Lost Connection. The man in the suit returned later that night, just as John was being arrested for loitering. He intervened, stopping the police and introducing himself as Fred Turner. "Dad," Fred said, his voice breaking. "It's me. Your son." John stared in disbelief. The little boy he had once held in his arms was now a successful man standing before him. Part 9, Rebuilding What Was Lost. Fred took John to his luxurious home, where they shared memories and reconnected. John learned of Fred's success and the charitable work he had done to help others. "You've become an incredible man," John said, tears in his eyes. Fred smiled. "And now it's time for you to come home, Dad." Epilogue, A New Beginning. John's journey from the streets to his son's home was a testament to the power of love and redemption. Though the scars of his past remained, he found solace in the knowledge that it was never too late to rebuild what had been broken. Together, John and Fred began a new chapter, one filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future.